All right, well, we'll officially call this meeting to order now. Sorry about the delay. If you'd stand with me, let's have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing. Pastor Craig Housfield from Trinity United Methodist will lead us in prayer this morning.
Let's pray. Holy God, we pause at the opening of this gathering to give you thanks for all the blessings you have lavished upon us individually and collectively. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to meet together and discuss the needs of Reno County and the towns and rural settings which are within our county. Lord, we thank you for those who have a willing heart to assume the responsibility before you to lead and direct the affairs and business of this county and to serve in this sacred public trust as commissioners and leaders. God bless them with peace in their lives, both public and private. The Apostle James wrote that if anyone desires wisdom, let them ask of God, and God will give it. We humbly ask for wisdom and the spirit of unity and cooperation in dealing with the needs and challenges before them. We ask that today and every day you endow our commissioners and all our municipal leaders to have this spirit of wisdom and guide them in the resolutions of challenges that we collectively face. Finally, Lord, we ask that your blessings come down and rest upon Reno County to create an atmosphere of a civil and just moral climate, that our county would be a place of peace and opportunity, both spiritually and economically, a place where the poor are not forgotten and the weak are not oppressed, that the elderly are honored and the young are nurtured, where there is equality for each and all, a place of justice and respect for everyone. It is in the name of Jesus the Christ that I make this prayer. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Pastor. Appreciate that. Well, welcome everybody. Appreciate you being here. We'll move into the public comment. Obviously, I don't think I see anybody for public comment here, but there is some people that we're going to have speak. Someone's here from the Red Cross here yet? I don't see anybody. Carissa, would you like to have Carissa Paxton from the city of Hutch? You might state your name and who you are, that kind of stuff.
Good morning. I am Carissa Paxton, and I am the Housing Program Coordinator for the City of Hutchinson. Today, I am asking for just a few minutes of your time to talk about the Reno County Housing Survey. You may have seen it on social media, the Hutch Tribune and Hutch Post, but I have brought a good-sized stack of flyers for the back table there, and it is also posted on the Reno County social media. What I am asking for is participation in the Reno County Housing Survey. The Reno County, the City of Hutchinson, the City of South Hutchinson, and the Hutchinson Housing Commission have all partnered together to conduct a housing needs assessment for our entire county. And we have done countless hours of data analytics, as well as over 10 community listening sessions. And now we're at the point in the needs assessment where we get survey data. And the only way for us to collect that is for Reno County residents and those who work in Reno County to take this survey. It's very important. It's available in English and in Spanish. And you can scan the QR code on the flyer, find the links on social media, or go to renocountyhousing.com and a little pop-up will appear to take the survey. It asks where you live, what your perceptions are on housing in Reno County, where you think we need to be focused on as far as housing issues go, and things like that. And it's a really important survey, and I would just ask everybody to take it and share it so your circles can take it as well.
Is that available in paper form for those that can't get it, and where would they find it?
Yes, I can absolutely get paper copies of it in both languages, and if I will just bring you a stack of them. Would that be okay? Or where would you like me to take them? Anywhere.
I know there's another survey floating out there that people wanted some paper copies of that. And so I just, for people's information listening today, whether they could get that from the city of Hutch.
Absolutely. Carissa.paxton@hutchgov.com, or my direct line is 620-259-4151. So.
Thank you, Chris.
I would also suggest that maybe you send a copy or 2 or 3 out to each local community, the city offices, so that they're available there in case someone would ask.
That is a great idea. Thank you, Commissioner Hurst.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, we have somebody here we have speak this morning, in Enrico Villegas. Did I do it right? From the city of Hutchinson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Enrico Villegas, the recently appointed city manager for the city of Hutchinson. I just wanted to introduce myself to you all. I'll keep it real brief, but I look forward to working on projects and collaborating together. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Enrico. Gosh, nobody had any questions for him? Dang, you got off easy.
I wasn't prepared, sir. Sorry, I'll have a list next time.
Okay. Well, we'll move from that to any additions or revisions to the agenda.
Yes, I would like to pull item 6D off for discussion.
6D.
Yes.
I had 6D to 7D. Let's move it there. We'll add the canvassing issue there. Any other questions about the consent agenda? Daniel, is he going to join us in the exec here in a minute, or is he here?
Daniel should be on the team.
I'm here.
Oh, you are? Okay. All right. Well, if you want to say something, chime in anytime, Dan.
And Commissioner, can we also
Okay,
move
thanks.
the executive session?
Do what?
Move the executive session up to
Yeah.
the beginning of the business.
Yes, I was going to say that after that. We want to move that. If everybody's all right with that, we'll move that up before business items so we can do that. Okay. Any other questions about consent agenda? Not? Somebody make a motion to accept that?
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Motion by Commissioner Weitzel, second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bogner. Roll call.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Friesen.
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel.
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Give me just a second. We're going to go to executive session. We'll be back after, how many minutes we need, do you think?
15.
About 15 minutes. So we'll say at 25, well, let's just say 9:30. Will that work? That'd be the last time we get up there. So we'll be back in session at 9:30. I'll make a motion here. I move the board to enter into executive session until 9:30 with the administrator, county administrator, county counselor, and Hutchinson city manager, and the subject matter to be potential land acquisition by the county, and the justification for the executive session is to keep confidential information related to the county's negotiations for potential acquisition. Do I have a second?
I'll second, and I have a question. Will we be meeting here since Daniel's on the,
Daniel, I'm going to call him on his cell phone.
okay,
Okay. Sounds like that was my
We'll
question.
move up, yeah, to Patrick's office, so. You'll second it by Commissioner Hurst. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Aye.
Well, I think we're all back here. We're going to reopen the meeting here. Daniel, you back with us?
Yeah, do you mind, sorry, how did the agenda get changed? What's left on the business items?
A resolution for a planning case. There's the viewpoint with Dennis Quaid and broadband discussion with Idea Tech. And then we moved one of the 6D items to 7D, which is discussing times for canvassing votes. Then it'll just roll in.
I've got, just want the record to reflect, I've got a conflict of interest in 7C. Would you mind putting that at the end?
What's that?
That way I
Sure.
have a conflict in 7C. Would you mind putting that at the end so
Yep,
I can?
I can do that. We'll switch 7C and 7D. You got that, Donna?
Thanks.
Yep, we can do that. Well, we'll move on to item 7 on the business resolution 2024 planning case, a request by S&J McMaster Properties LLC, Stephen McMaster, for conditional use permit to establish a private dining hall on a parcel of land zoned agriculture. The property is located at the northwest corner of South K-14 Highway and West Parallel Road, with property address at 19807 South K-14 Highway.
So I think we all had a chance to review it. I'll vote to approve the resolution as presented by staff, and then we have discussion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bogner, moved by Mr. Weitzel. Any discussion? Well, then we'll have a roll call. Move that right along.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes,
Commissioner Weitzel,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner.
Yes.
and motion passes 5-0. Let's do.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry to make you wait so long for that. We've gotten fairly close the last few nights anyway. So anyway, 7B, viewpoint with Dennis Quaid, promotional video to market Reno County. I think I'll have Randy make some comments. I'll probably follow up with some of them. Him and I met with them, and then we met with some other people about some stuff we'd like to just discuss with you.
So the viewpoint with Dennis Quaid, they kind of came to us about a possibility to kind of market or talk about Reno County, kind of what we offer, what we are, and the programs on public television that's seen across the country, whatever market that is. And they would come here, they would write a story. We would partner with the Chamber of Commerce, various people in the community to really highlight Reno County and hopefully spread what we have for businesses, quality of life, housing, to get people to want to understand how great it would be for them to bring a business, work remote, or move to Reno County and be able to touch millions of people, possibly. And Chairman Parks and I were looking at this. It looked like a great or something to talk about, bring to the County Commission for consideration. It doesn't have to be viewpoint, but I'll let you. And
Okay.
I also do, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Do have a video that the Chamber and Reno County 2 years ago partnered on. Didn't know if you wanted to watch that, kind of see, this is what we already have, but anything we do with
Yeah, I think-
viewpoint or something else would go beyond that.
I think we'll watch it here in just a second. We met with them via telephone, Randy and I did, and they have a certain criteria for what they air in their segment on there, and it's a 5 to 6 hour production. They come out on site to do that, and then they put that into a 30-minute show with Dennis Quaid, which is syndicated to some other venues that they play that. 60 million people view that, is what they told us. From what they said, we meet pretty much the criteria that we're supposed to touch base with them again, but we used this video, promo video, shared that with them just to see if it was something they were interested in. It's not a total lock on this per se, one of the things that would do would be a one-time shot. If we did this, we would own the material that could be used for other things. And Randy and I discussed back and forth before we decided to even have a teleconference with him, because when we had a mayor's meeting here a while back, almost predominantly in that meeting that came out from the mayors is, how do we market Reno County? And we're always looking for creative ways to do that. How do we get the message out that we want to grow? We want families to come from different parts, possibly around the United States, to move in here, to go to work, to live here, maybe build housing, do that kind of stuff. And so this was one avenue that we, like I say, we met with him about, thought it might be something. You have the name recognition with him, obviously, but then since then, I'm going to throw this out. We've talked and discussed a little bit with Chamber about their production facilities, that they can do similar things. I've been contacted also by Eagle Media, by a representative there, and have been sent sample videos of that they can, and I guess I know I use geofencing, but I didn't think about the implications of taking that to targeted areas in the United States and getting on targeted. One of the things Eagle threw out, we can even put it on somebody in a targeted area where there's populace that's moving out on Hulu and different things like that, that they can see your promo video for Reno County. And I know, Deborah, did you indicated, I think, that was possible through you as well. And so it was very enlightening for me. I learned a lot just listening to what could be done with these avenues. And I don't know if it's a partnership we could even foster with some of the small communities to move this forward as well, even so they have a little bit of skin in the game to do something like this. But in the scheme of wanting housing built here and wanting businesses to build here and to do those kinds of things, we have to promo the county for people who want to be here. We've got a lot of amenities that we take for granted. I drive by the fairgrounds because I've been going to all my life, and I live just a few blocks from it, and don't even consider it from day to day how big of an event it is. And I don't even think about Cosmospheres and all the other things that we offer in the community for people to move in here that they can have and do. And we could market that, something that the Chamber obviously has done for years to try to do that. But I guess that's, I have Randy show this video from that. It'd be something similar to this for sure. But I think it'd be neat to get it out to a larger audience in mass or maybe targeted areas. That's why we were bringing this to you guys today, to see if you have an interest in moving this forward. There is going to be somewhat of an investment for it, but I think it could be a good investment if it's done correctly. So anyway, yeah, show that video. I'll shut up now.
In Reno County, we come together to celebrate, where the pace of life is simple, creating jobs and opportunity for our workforce of the future, where hard work is part of our core values, in the heartland where rail, highway, and air transport converge, where companies build products that power the nation, and our producers plow the fields to feed and fuel the world. Here we honor the past while we invite you to share our space, where sunflowers on the prairie are part of our brand, and wide open sunsets can be seen for miles. We have a legacy of those who shoot for the stars, and we're not finished developing the communities which make us unique, building strong economic development partnerships for the future. We're Reno County, Kansas, and we are rising together.
One of the things I find interesting, one of the small communities, the mayor that was at that meeting that night in South Hutch there, currently has people moving into her community from Colorado. They're even possibly looking to build, if I remember correctly, and they continue to drag family members because they want out of the progressive area to get into somewhere where it's obviously not as expensive to live, and they're not agreeing probably with some things that are going on there. And so there is a market to bring people here. I know there is. And I think the reason we've done this whole thing today is to see if there's an appetite to move some of this forward with the board and in our scheme of trying to develop Reno County.
Some questions I would have was, how do other small communities fit into this whole program? What's their involvement, and are they interested? I know some won't be, but I think it's important that all the smaller communities somehow, and as I visit, we can talk about this as city councils that I go to. The other question is it available for site selectors, and is that something that the site collectors would be interested in utilizing, or is that an advantage to go to a site selector with this, a new one? How does this fit into the Kansas Department of Commerce new program, bringing people to Kansas? Is there potential for partnership with Kansas Department of Commerce on that program? And how does that fit in with the Kansas Rural Program? That I know Jason Probst is involved with that, as well as Carrie Folletti from Cali County. Is this something that would be available? I know a push has been brought about to talk about how you get past high school alumni, maybe now that have a family, and maybe they've seen the bright lights, and maybe they have a family that's interested in coming back to their roots. And so how can that be utilized in those areas? And that's just a few of my thoughts regarding while I was listening to this.
You can, yeah. I think that's some of the stuff what we're wanting to explore, maybe.
Yeah, Commissioner, I think it's kind of, depending on who we go with, viewpoint, it may have a different kind of target than, I think it could work for all of that, but if we did customize something, we work with the chamber and we work with local business, Eagle Media, whoever it is, locally, I think the commission, the county can pick and choose how you want to focus on those areas. So for small communities, of course, we can reach out to all the mayors and find out how they want to people to view them, you know, like on the marketing, what they want to say about their community, whether it's housing, business, expansion, remote workers. I think we could tailor it that way. The part about what the state's doing, which is great what the state's doing, this one would be focused more Reno County, but it would have the same goal maybe of, and I forget what the state's program is, of coming back to,
right,
you know, kind of love Kansas, but it would be about Reno County.
Well, I think that's the sole focus. We want people here to
I
come
understand
here
that
too,
about Reno County. It's just a matter of can we utilize other people to help with marketing Reno County? And it has to be designated nationally. I understand that.
I think that could be done and just put the kind of a team together to work on it. And I know Deborah's here, but we met with the chamber. We just met with them Monday. So we had already started having this discussion with Viewpoint, Chairman Parks and myself, but
yeah,
kind of brought the chamber in kind of last minute because we would want to partner with them. Obviously site selectors, and we would want to have a product that Deborah and her team could
Is there a way,
give to anybody.
Deborah, if you don't mind coming up just real quick?
Good morning, commissioners. Thanks for letting me be here on this topic. We had a great meeting on Monday. I wasn't on the original call with Randy and Viewpoint, but I've read their information. And, you know, I think we talked about Monday. Any way that we market Reno County is going to be valuable getting our message out. It's just deciding how many dollars you want to put into those marketing initiatives. And is this the right use with the limited dollars we always talk about
That's
that we
right.
have? Is this the best use? And it was probably the first chance that Commissioner Parks had to see the county video that we put together a couple of years ago, which really was more of a feel-good video about just, it was highlights, you know, it was aerials across all of Reno County about what a great place this is to live and how sunflowers are part of our brand and the wide open spaces that we all love, and the uniqueness. But it also kind of delved into a little bit of those economic development attributes. So it lives on our economic development site so that when site selectors are looking at it, they can get a little flavor of Reno County before coming here. That video was produced locally in a really short amount of time. We partnered with Nick Hemphill Photo and Video on that, and he went out and shot the video footage and did the drone photography and then spliced that all into, we did the copywriting in-house. And so those are things that we can partner with local vendors that do those things relatively affordably. And he's not the only one. We partner with Bowercom currently with our Market Hutch funds. And Bowercom puts together video reels. They do TikTok spots. They do all the social media, specifically on the Share the Love campaign. And that is a countywide campaign. And they're placing that out there on those streaming services too. So I think before you spend money on Viewpoint, I think it's valid to look at it, but also let's look at what could another local producer put together that knows us well and will listen to us and let us have some creative license.
Is Bowercom here?
They are. Mhm.
They're okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're located up on
Well,
30th.
and I
And
think-
there are some others too. I mean, I don't want to discount that there are other members that we have that we could go to for video production.
Well, there's other.
What you're buying with Viewpoint is you're buying their audience on the national level with a highly, recognized person attached to it. But what I worry a little bit about is how much creative license do we really get? In a 3 to 6 minute video, you saw in 2 minutes how hard it is to put very much in about any one community. So I wouldn't want to overpromise to all the communities that they're going to end up in it because we wouldn't get that much creative license on the production part. We'll probably get to see a couple of cuts and, they'll come here and spend a day taking some, footage. But at the end of the day, how much can you really fit in that to adequately tell the story of all of Reno County? So I think we should probably get some quotes for some other things and then make an informed decision. And that would be my recommendation for you.
Well-
But you had recommended this coming from some of the Economic Development Reserve funds. And I do think that's a great idea because mostly we've reserved those funds for some other things, job grants, the relocation incentives that we came to you with the Superior Boiler project this year. So
Part of my question is, are we currently trying that marketing through the chamber? Are you doing that, reaching out to communities like that around the United States or not?
So we're
in this
placing the
manner.
Market Hutch videos through streaming services, and I don't know how far out we're geofencing. We're being pretty strategic with those. It's mostly driving retail visitors, so we're mostly marketing in a 2-hour radius because the Market Hutch dollars are all about driving retail spending to generate sales tax.
Right.
We can do that though and geofence other parts of the country like you were suggesting.
Well, I know there's other people in town do that as well, so I think.
Yeah, yes, and you mentioned Eagle, had
Yeah.
come to you, and they do that as well. So I think it would be good to get some competitive proposals from them on how they could
Well,
approach
I
this.
personally would like to hear from several agencies on it
Yeah.
as well. I mean, I know we partner some things with you, and it wouldn't hurt to look at incentivizing some business here in town too. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what we do as partners. So.
Yeah, I think my question was, what's the availability and the competence of locals being able to have that same contacts or create those same contacts as somebody like Viewpoint? That's something that I don't have answered. It's just a matter of, I'd like to know that, and also.
Right, especially if it's airing on public television, I would want to lean on those that are in that space of the Bowercoms of the world and Eagle about how they could get content created locally placed like this. they would be better able to answer that.
You know, it's not a whole lot different though, and probably they don't do as much anymore. You'd sit down and you'd be watching a cable TV show and you get to learn about Silver Dollar City and Branson and different places like that come on your television in Hutchinson, Kansas. And so it's much the same marketing where we would have a marketing scheme that would push maybe our community and why come here. I know the worst marketing scheme I ever heard was Nebraska. As far as I'm concerned, they used to advertise all the time on TV, and then they'd end it with "it's not for everybody." And I'm going, what a terrible thing to say. You want everybody to come there, but that's just my opinion. And
Yeah,
so,
you mentioned about the Love Kansas campaign, and we are one of the pilot communities and counties that are part of that. It's come out of the Department of Commerce, and they're providing some of the creative support, but then we were all challenged to create a local committee. And so our committee is made up of a cross-section of people from across Reno County, and Lauren Storm and Holly Liker are chairing that committee. They've been working, and I think they have plans to be at Bueller Frolic and at Haven Fall Fest. They were just at Third Thursday, and that whole premise of the Love Kansas program is for people locally to do a letter writing campaign to people who have moved away that we want to see boomerang back right here to Reno County. And so we've tried to engage a cross-section of Reno County in doing that. It's just gotten off the ground, and so there are a lot of plans over the next year of how to take that countywide to get people engaged in inviting their former classmates to come back.
you had one last night.
Yeah. Also, I was at a convention up in Chicago years back, and speaking of Nebraska, you stop by there, they gave you a little disc that you could take home.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was a neat idea, because when you got home, you could, or in your hotel room or whatever, you could flip that in your computer and see the same thing.
Now you can just scan a QR code. They don't even have to give the disc out anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that type of thing.
You
Now
still
they
need
just
you
give
still
you
need to
corn
give Ron a
cob.
disc.
Yeah.
I said now they just give you a corn cob up there. So that's,
Is that part of Nebraska's?
yeah, I guess. Corn, you see corn everywhere. I think basically for us, as a conversation, Randy and I brought this, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're just looking to see whether there's an appetite for this and to have further presentation on it and some ideas and some costs related to targeting audiences and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's something, you still with us? Something you know.
So, how much? What is Viewpoint looking at to charge for this?
Viewpoint, when you, I believe it was around 25,000 for the video, but then bringing them on site's another 3,000 to 5,000. I would say $30,000 and that's where I think Commissioner Parks and I would like to know, again, correct me, but if you don't want to do Viewpoint, do you want us to work with the chamber, work with other things that are already in place or groups already working on this and have the county be a partner and to spend some money that's probably less than Viewpoint, but can
The one
help
thing
the
with
local.
Viewpoint, you get the celebrity, you get a big shot at an audience one time, and you get the materials, you own the materials they create. But it isn't an ongoing marketing and targeting the areas where we can continue day in and day out, letting people know through geofencing and that kind of stuff that we have something to offer them here. And I think that's more appetizing to me. That, that's just my opinion, to do something like that after digging into this than,
So,
unless Randy gets to be on the Dennis Quaid show, then maybe that's a little bit big deal.
so I don't think Viewpoint is as big a deal as they are claiming they are. So I looked at their social media presence. Any idea how many YouTube subscribers they have? How many Facebook followers they have?
No.
You're going to tell us.
Their YouTube channel has 378 subscribers. Our Reno County YouTube channel has 394. They've had about, in the last 4 years, and I brought some screenshots, about 17.8 thousand people visit their website in the last 4 years. So that's less than 5,000 people a year visit their website. And most of them are people like us that are going to look for the videos. Because the average click rate is 38 or 34%, 32%, which means that 2/3 of the people that go to their website go to the homepage and then don't click on anything else on the deal. You know, they've got 1,500 LinkedIn followers, and that's their only social media presence. I mean, I don't understand how you get 100 or 1 million opt-in emails with that kind of social media presence. I just don't think that we would get any sort of return on investment with Viewpoint, because I just don't think their numbers are there. I mean, nothing that I've seen supports these kind of numbers. When you look at comparable companies that do comparable numbers, I mean, it's like the kid from high school saying, hey, I can build you a car. You know, maybe they can, but, you know, Ford builds a lot more cars. So that being said, I do think that videos and marketing and things like that are good things to do. You know, there were two companies that sold soda back 70, 80 years ago. One of them decided that they were going to raise their prices and do a lot of marketing. The other one said, no, we're going to keep our prices low, and we're just going to make a good product. So at that point, RC Cola was the leader in the beverage industry. Coca-Cola wasn't a big player. Coca-Cola decided to market and raise their prices, and now Coca-Cola is a household brand, and you don't even hear about RC Cola anymore. So I think marketing is a good thing. I just don't think this company and that price point with what they offer. And is it 60 or 30-minute show? Because what I was reading on their website was 5 to 6 minutes. Yeah. And so basically, just in my time with Great Plains Television and the work I did there, they're probably going to run 15 to 20 commercials a month on PBS over a 3-month period to generate that $60 million in view. They're probably going to buy a little blurb on an email link, or, you know, like an advertising on an email that gets sent out from a company like PBS to get the 1 million opt-in subscribers. But this is not coming from Viewpoint. Viewpoint is not a big company. I like Dennis Quaid, but they just probably pay him to come in one day every couple months to do a bunch of these, and that's probably the extent of his involvement in this. And this is all speculation, so, you know, but I just don't think Viewpoint is the company for that price point. But I think some local people, I mean, we've got some great local content creators. If you look at that can do some pretty amazing stuff. That would love a chance at a paycheck. And then we've also got some good media companies as well. So, you know, I think local people just, you know, let us know what you can do, point us to your website, and I think that would be a much better use of that money. And I do have the screenshots if anybody wants them of the engagement and stuff.
Well, no, it's interesting, when I ran to use geofencing, they can look at any time and how many connections or how many people, I don't know exactly how that works, how many people are actually seeing it, and the percentages of it. And I just remember from the contact I made using that it looked like a relatively low number to me, but the people that know the numbers of that said it was huge, the amount of people that was seeing it. But you know, it's one of those things that's out there. I was told the more you pay, the more people see it, and so there is some cost related to that. And but and there's some other things too that's coming up that's probably going to be presented that has this same kind of a theme to it to get people to come to Reno County. I think I would personally find marketing this kind of a deal locally, creating something, putting it out, probably more cost effective to reach people, but the others are direct incentive for people to be here. So it's all valid in my opinion, but I don't know. That's what we're looking for today. We have an appetite to move this thing forward from the board to do some more discovery with Deborah and maybe Eagle Media and some of them to come in and present, see what they can do, and give us some real-time costs.
Move forward.
Yeah. With Viewpoint or move forward?
No, I think move forward locally. Honestly, I don't, Randy. I'm kind of that way. After we'd met, and hearing what both a couple other entities have told me about what they can do, I think it's much better marketing. So.
Yeah, my recommendation also, based on what we've learned in the past few days, week, is to work locally with the chamber and other vendors and not Viewpoint. if that's what you guys want to do with marketing.
The money
Yeah, I would be on
stays in
board with
Reno
that.
County.
How you feel about that, Dan? You still with us?
Yeah, sorry, it takes a minute to get the mute button off. Yeah, I'm supportive of looking at a broader range of options. I'm not necessarily a yes or a no yet, but I think opening it up to broader options and working with the chamber makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. There you go. We can come back with some more information later on. We're moving to 7D, which is 6D from the consent agenda. You got that earlier. We're going to put Idea Tech at the end, so Daniel, Mr. Friesen can be with us for this one here. So, which was set a date and time for county canvass following August 6th primary election and November 5th general election. Some discussion about that. I think Mr. Weitzel wanted us to move that and discuss it, so I'll let him talk.
Yeah, so, I mean, I work a few blocks from here, so it's not a big deal for me to come and go and come and go, but you guys have a little bit of drive. And so my thought is why not do it on a Wednesday when we've already got a meeting? We can meet the courthouse at, whatever time, or push the start of the meeting back to whatever time we would need to get the initial stuff done. Then there's going to be several hours of counting and such, and then we could, either if we're done here, then we could go over there. If not, then we could take a break and, finish the canvassing. That way you guys only have one trip. So my concern was just to make it easier on you guys, so you don't have, instead of one trip, you don't have 3 or 4 trips that you've got to make into town.
Well, from my point of view, I've probably got the longest drive. It's not a concern because some days when things are going right, I make 2 and 3 trips to Hutch. It's 50. You get accustomed to what you get accustomed to. 15 miles to get where you want to go and where you need to be, for me, makes no difference. I think there's probably some certain dates, you have certain time periods after the election to get the counts, and I know that's why some of these dates were preferred and set. Like I say, for me, I'll be here when they tell me to be here.
My only concern, Jenna, would you come up, please? But Daniel, you got any comments on that before she speaks? Or Mr. Hurst? What I'd kind of like to know is this going to be a time crunch conflict if we try to squeeze it before a meeting? The general's going to be a much bigger canvas, obviously.
Yeah, we don't really have any way of knowing how many provisionals there will be. So
I could see a primary possibly working that way. Just my opinion, but I don't know about the other one.
The only issue that I can see with doing it during the primary is you guys would make your recommendations, and then you guys would recess and come over here and do your commission meeting. But then you don't know how long your commission meeting is going to take. And then so when do you, because you need to set it for a time of when you're going to re-adjourn back into the Board of Canvassers. So if we could find a way to do that, I don't know if anybody's got recommendations.
I just hate recessing in the middle and doing something. That's tough. We had a long exec today, and that's tough on people to sit here.
Right. And that's typically why we haven't done it on the Wednesdays when you guys are here.
Well, and could it be done here? Like, could you bring the stuff here, or is that too inconvenient?
We would have to move the equipment over here along with the ballots, and then actually our the software that I use to put all the reporting together is over there, and it's stationary. It's not mobile.
Okay.
This won't affect me because somebody will have to appoint somebody to take my place on there since I'm up for election and I don't feel right in being part of that selection process.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I think if we did the canvas, then came over and did a commission meeting, and then like Jenna said, Mrs. Fager said, we would go back to the other place. So if you, in the morning when you said, okay, we're going to recess until, noon, 12 o'clock, if the commission meeting wasn't done, you'd have to then recess your commission meeting because you'd have to be back at the other one at the time you told the public. You could do it. It would either you'd have to say we're going to finish the commission meeting on time, or if we're not done on the commission meeting that day, we'll have to go back and forth. That's my thought.
I'm thinking, why create a problem?
Yeah, there's too many unknowns.
Yeah,
There's
no, I
too-
mean-
and I thank you for thinking that way, but it would be to accommodate a couple of us, and there's no reason to do it. Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
What? I got a question. Why can't you just do the initial part where we get an early review, and then you do all of, like, we do that over there at the annex. You do your work. I mean, you can walk over and give us the final report without all the equipment, can't you?
We could, yeah, for sure. That's an option. Just not knowing how long it's going to take to do that final report. You know, it depends on how many provisionals there are and how many hand counts we need to do.
How long does it normally take on average?
Small elections, it can take 2 hours. Larger elections, it can take 5 hours.
Patrick, can't we just put that on our agenda as the last item?
I'm not
And
trying
then
to.
if it
Yeah.
doesn't work out, like you just, you know, take a recess?
The only, it's one of those things, as a practical matter, what you're suggesting makes perfect sense. The canvas has to be noticed and it has to be published, both the time and the place. And so I worry a little bit, and this is a nitpick, but you know, people have a lot of concerns about elections and you don't want to mess around with the process too much. We should probably hold all the election hearings in the same place to comply with the statute about publication, so that we notice everybody where it's going to be at. It's such a technical thing, but I think that's what we're required to do, is tell the public when and where. We could, you might say we could do both.
You can't say
we could
that,
say
we're
both,
gonna have the,
at
I
both
don't
places.
understand why this is so complicated, like,
Yeah.
there's no, it's in plain English. You go over there for the start, you come to the county commission for the end. Like, who knows when it's gonna happen? Like, you have that same issue whether you just sit around at the annex all day or come to our meeting and wait. Like, I don't see any difference.
I don't see any difference. I just don't want to have to deal with the lawsuit from one member of the public who says we didn't comply with the statute. And that's just me being completely honest.
Does it comply or not?
I think we have to notice everybody where and when you're doing the hearing at, or the canvas at.
And there's no way to know that.
It would be a little, it would be difficult to.
Well, what
to
if we set it at like 4 o'clock? I mean, like, you know, go in at 8 a.m., do the thing, set the ending deal for 4 o'clock. Then we get everything done on the same day.
But you're asking the public to come twice. I guess you are, because it's a different day, but I'm for keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Guys, I've been through like 5 of these that you have to sit around and wait. You don't have an exact time of when they're going to reconvene. Like, that doesn't exist. It's whenever they're done. That's the way we've always done it. People sit around.
The only reason, if you do it all in one day, you just sit around. If you do it where you say you're going to do another meeting in between, you need to tell everybody when you're coming back, is what I was saying.
I'm not gonna be a
agenda.
I'm not gonna be a part of
I
it,
just,
but I've been part of.
You guys figure it out, whatever you want to do. I think we make things so complicated sometimes out of fear. Let's just do what we want to do, and if it complies with the law, like.
Well, I say we just leave it. My opinion is leave it the way Jenna has it. She knows best. She runs the elections. I trust her. That's just my opinion.
Why don't I do this? I'm going to make a motion, and then we'll see where it goes. I motion that we hold the canvassing following the August 6, 2024 primary election Wednesday. Do we have a meeting on the 14th? Wednesday, August 14th at 8 a.m. As the votes are being counted and we have to come back to certify election, I would say that we come back at 4 p.m. to finish the canvassing.
I'd like to hear from you though, Jenna, in that motion. I know we can get a second
Second.
here in a minute, but that's a second from Commissioner Friesen. But I'd like to hear from you as to how you think that would work.
We
because-
could make that work for sure. Yeah, as long as we've got enough time to do what we need to do, and 4 o'clock should be sufficient.
Now, this is a primary or this the general?
This is primary.
Well, that's the 5th. Am I correct? Or
The
is that
primary is
14th?
on the 6th.
August 6th
It's the
is,
6th.
yeah.
Okay. So you said the 14th though?
The 13th, or yeah, I'm sorry, the Wednesday the 14th, which
Oh, you
is
did.
right, yeah.
Okay.
Which
Yeah,
is-
I misunderstood. Okay. Any other comments? I know you're staying out of it. Yeah. Mr. Bogner? Any comments? Okay. Well, let's take it to vote. Roll call.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes?
Commissioner Weitzel,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
No.
And that's just for the primary, right? I suspect the primary might have been finished for the meeting anyway, though, in my opinion, but.
I should
you
hope
don't
so,
know-
but
you
we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so-
So we
are
need a
coming
motion
back
for
and
the
talking about
election
the
too,
general?
or do we need a motion for the general election too?
You do, yes.
Okay, well, I'll motion, basically the same structure, but on, Wednesday, November 13th, I would assume we have a meeting. To start at 8 a.m. and then to finish at 4 p.m.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Friesen.
Now you've just made somebody that has to drive the longest way, an extra trip back in, because he's not gonna sit around and wait. The person's not gonna sit around and wait till 4 o'clock. That's just, you originally started this to save trips. I'm just saying about waiting that long, but whatever.
However the vote turns out.
I don't think that's true. I mean, you have to come in for a regular meeting, and then you'll have to leave. If we do it the other way, you're gonna have to come in the morning, and you don't know. It could take 2 hours. It could take 4. I'm guessing, who knows what the general will be, but there's a likelihood you'll have to do the same thing. You're gonna take one trip in on Wednesday for sure, and then likely 2 trips on Thursday. This is just 2 trips on Wednesday.
I will note that Wednesday, November 13th was the alternate day given.
Any further discussion? Not, roll call.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes?
Commissioner Weitzel,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
No.
Motion passes 4-0. All right, Daniel.
4-1.
4-1, sorry, not 0.
Mr. Chairman, one other question. and
Yes, sir.
I don't know if if this is too much or not, but could we move that last item that I'm conflicted with to the end so I could hear Randy's report and the commissioner's
clear
comments? Is that out of order?
Yeah, you want to move it clear after the monthly reports?
If that works for the commission, I'm okay either way.
Right before commissioner comments?
I had to put it at the end. I'd like to hear those too, but
Okay.
again, your call, obviously.
I don't care, that's fine. 7C, we'll move down after commissioner comments, and then it's just, then it's an adjournment. So we'll do that. I don't mind doing that, so you can stick around.
Thanks.
Yep, go ahead, Randy.
Okay, in my report, I have the monthly department reports for communications, maintenance, public works, solid waste, treasurer, and I guess that's it, solid waste twice. Any questions on any of the monthly reports? Okay, I also have the financial report, and this shows through June 30th, kind of where we're at on all the operating funds. I didn't have anything that really to point out that's out of the ordinary. You will see the general fund revenue is doing really good. And that again, as mentioned in past meetings, the interest rates are well above what we had budgeted for. So those are helped us out, but we only have about 79% of our taxes in, and that's because motor vehicle taxes take through the entire year. So our general fund is in really good shape right now. So we have a fund balance of about $20 million. Of course, not a lot of more revenue. All the expenditures will eat away at that for the rest of the year. And then all the other funds, some are in good condition. Aging is down a little bit. Health fund is up a little bit. It's in good condition right now. Same with noxious weeds. So any questions on any specific fund, or did you want to talk about any funds? The road and bridge is really good, but again, Don, a lot of the work that he does, or a lot of the high cost items haven't hit yet. So that will, as you can see, his expense total is 25%. But that just reflects the time of year when his big expenses will hit, but he is in really good condition right now. Solid waste is doing well. Youth services fund, a little bit of a concern. So we talked during the budget for next year, maybe we are looking at possibly raising the per night fee that we charge outer counties. Employee benefits fund is in good shape right now. The tech, mental health, those have limited amounts because we don't budget much above what we're going to allocate to the partner agencies. Special parks and recreation, we have, I think, going on the second year now of not allocating any money, so that is a fund from alcohol and liquor taxes that are just building in this fund right now. Special alcohol, that 10,000's for drug court. Bond and interest is in good condition, but as you can see, the expenses, we haven't paid the large part of the bond, the principal, yet. Any questions on the financials? The other item, I didn't really have much. I was just going to let you know we have a reminder. We do have a meeting next Wednesday, the 31st. A couple of the items. The big item we have on the agenda is health insurance. We have renewal recommendations to bring back to the county commission, which we'll set for employees as the open enrollment begins in middle of August. So we need to hopefully have a decision next week for what those rates for employees will be and what the insurance market for Reno County looks like. We also have a discussion about some jail technology. There's some leftover sales tax from the jail of a little over $500,000, plus we have some reserve money. There's some technology needs for out at the jail that the sheriff and IT has been working on. We're going to bring that to the commission to let you know what's needed and kind of see if you guys have any questions. And then there's a couple other small items, but those were the two big discussion items for next week. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Randy. Any questions for Randy? All right. Well, let's move into county commissioner reports or comments. Mr. Weitzel?
Nothing for me this week.
Oh, okay. Mr. Bogner?
Yeah, the meetings we've attended here in the last week, those town hall meetings, I attended all three. Came away with some pretty good ideas of what the general public in certain areas wants done and how they want to operate. So in the future, we'll need to be working toward some of that stuff, and I've got some thoughts on how we ought to proceed, but I'm sure that'll come up as agenda items here soon. And other than that, glad there was a good turnout, so we could get an idea of what the general public is thinking in that area. So with that, I'll leave it go.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yeah, I want to thank Arlington, Pretty Prairie, and Nickerson for providing the facilities so that we could meet and have those public. Well, thank you. I did good all the way through the meeting. Just thank Pretty Prairie, Nickerson, and Arlington for providing the space. Those cities provided a space for those meetings, and so just want to thank them for that. 4-H fair is starting, and if you haven't been to the fair, run out to the San State Fairgrounds and see the facilities and see what the kids are doing. They do a lot of great things and spend a lot of time on it. And the livestock sale is Monday night, and if you're planning on going out and buying, they always provide a pretty good meal for you. Hate to miss that steak myself, but other meetings are that same night, which is the public hearing on solar. Some of these communities put together some pretty good events, and Pretty Prairie was a fine example of that last week, as they had a very, very successful rodeo, and participants, I think from what I heard, they averaged around 4,000 people a night at that rodeo. So it was well attended. I too will have some comments regarding the public meetings that we held out in the three communities, and I'm sure that'll come up. And I think we got some clear direction, at least on one item. And I think we got a fairly clear idea on the other item that come up. At least the comments that I have had during and after the meeting suggested that. Did get a kind of a request as we go forward for all the commissioners is we had an open house there. They held an open house, and Partington was down there also at the Pretty Prairie new EMS building. Very good building, and I think it gave us some ideas when we look at building another EMS building like at Arlington. I think we had some really, really nice. There one item that they mentioned, he says, you commissioners only gave us $37,500 for this building, and the building was about $575,000, but it's a very nice building with big, nice doors and living areas and rooms to have seminars in. They would kind of like us as a commission to look at providing a few more funds out of the interest gained off of the ARPA funds that were invested. So we can get into that later. That's all. I took your time. John
already yielded. He didn't have anything. Commissioner Friesen, you got anything to add here?
No, thank you.
Was that a no thank you?
Yeah, no thanks.
Okay, I didn't hear it right. I too was at those meetings, and they were good meetings. A lot of good input from the folks about what they definitely liked or didn't like, and they were they'll let you know. Let's just say that. It was good town halls, and so pretty good turnout. 2 nights in a row, we had to change locations in the building. It wasn't big enough. They were in the hallway, packed out in the hallway, and we didn't have a big enough room in Arlington, and the same thing almost happened. We had to move over to the theater in Pretty Prairie last night, and it was full. And I tried like crazy to get Don to get up and dance and sing on the stage, but I couldn't get him to do it. And so, that was something we all kind of wanted to see, and so maybe another day.
I'd have turned my chair around for that.
I'm sure you would have. But, yeah, a lot of good input with that. I appreciate it. And on the subject of EMS, I know we had a short meeting, Mr. Partington and I did with one of the community leaders and Dave Johnson the other afternoon. I think it was Monday afternoon or something at 3 o'clock, and had some discussions and concerns from some of the communities. And I don't think that's the only one of coverage. So moving forward, I think I'm just going to throw this out, where I know we're going to talk more about building of sites and stuff. I think one of the conversations we absolutely have to have, and I challenged Mr. Johnson or Dave Johnson to come back with a Reno County map blown up to show me pictures of exactly where the coverage needs to be. We've seen circles and graphs and numbers. I get that. But I want to see exactly where maybe we need to have a station. Maybe we don't need to have it where it's planned to go in, and maybe we need to relocate something else. So I think we have to explore a little bit deeper. There's some people with some pretty lagged coverages right now from some things that are going on. And I personally need an explanation for that when it's 30, 40 minutes before an ambulance shows up on site that has been timed. And that's just, a dire emergency. That's just not going to get it for anybody. I understand if you're out in the country, you take those inherent risks, but for a community in our county that has to wait that long to get help, we need to explore what we can do to help that somehow. I really believe, because that's you having a heart attack or code blue, you're not going to make it there in time. And so the response has been reduced in a couple of communities where they would normally have helped, and they're not doing that anymore. And so I just like to see a bigger overall picture when we go into this, to see whether maybe there's some other avenues we look at before we just lock into that idea, because I'm not totally sold on it. So now I'll leave it at that. That's my final comment. That being said, Commissioner Friesen.
My cue? Yeah. Well, I just want to thank the commission for being flexible today and letting me dial remotes. Thanks. And then if we could just note in the minutes that I have a conflict of interest in the next item, and that's why I'm leaving early. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
He said that he's got to make sure it's in the notes that he's got a conflict, so he's leaving the call.
All right. Yes. We'll hear from item 7C. Move to this part of the meeting. Idea Tech.
Okay. All right. Again, I'm James Kristalik, Idea Tech Community Public Relations. I thank you again for letting me to come out here. I have some information for you guys. Last time I was here, I know, Mr. Chairman, there was a little bit of a hesitant of supporting a financial private business and some things like that. And really, I took that back and I said, I didn't really do a good job of explaining. So I brought some packets for you guys today to kind of go over, to kind of talk a little bit about the county, talk about how BAG, and then talk about the opportunity of BEAD that's upon us, and a few other applications that are coming down the way through the commerce here. So. And as you kind of take a look within here, that we're taking a look at, kind of trying to turn you to the broadband in Reno County. And that's kind of where I'd like to start, because this is, as I came last time when we talked about an application that we had with BAG, and you were all able to, towards the end of the meeting, able to provide a letter of support and some $25,000 in matching funds. I really wanted to come back and just kind of explain to you about kind of this page that we hear. So what you see in Reno County, there's about 27,000 homes currently that have these service locations, what we call, and then 21,000, a little over 21,000 have access to fiber internet. And so That leaves about 5,500 locations that lack fiber within Reno County, and at least 50 of these locations cannot be connected without these grant funds that come out through the state. And this grant fund that's coming out to the state right now is called BEAD. It's about a $450 million grant that's going to come down to these communities. And in my role as community relations, I work with county commissioners. I work with Butler County, Harvey County, Finney County, Marion County, just to find out ways of how can we get these funds to come to those counties. But when we look at Reno County, that is our home turf, and we want to see money come to here. So on that next page, you kind of see that you see these little red dots, and then the green kind of shows that there's fiber. And so when you look at this map, it kind of really puts a bug on it to show, wow, there's this many homes within Reno County that do not have access to fiber internet. And the state is really putting an emphasis on connecting these homes with fiber optic. And so that broadband having a hard-lined connection. And so when you look at this here, you can kind of see some of the green that we have. From a private investment, we have about 80% of that. You kind of within the green, we've put in millions of dollars of private investment to try to help cover these areas. But the last application we came for BAG, unfortunately, it was about 700% oversubscribed. And so we were not chosen to win to that grant application. They are so very competitive. And we were able to, fortunate enough to be able to win a grant with Marion County and Butler County that was just announced this past Monday. With that support there with the Marion County Commissioners, they realized that Burns was a small city southern of that, and there's some rural homes in the very southern district of Marion County. Their residents said, hey, we don't want to be left behind, kind of like in Arlington reached out, in Abbeville, things like that. They've reached out to us. And so we tried to work a plan with them to where we could able to fund them and a couple other cities through Butler County. And thankfully, when we got to the interview process, the state, we had some of the commissioners on that meeting, and they really advocated for why they would like to see these broadband dollars, federal funds, come to their county rather than other counties. And so we want the same thing for Reno County. We want to see those funds come to Reno County. And when you kind of take a look over the last 5 years, and I know I'm skipping through some slides here, you can really see that Reno County has not been awarded any broadband funds in the last 5 years. And I'm on this page right here if you need to take a look at that. Now, it doesn't mean that we have not applied. We've definitely been working with the city. We've been working with the chamber. I know I've come to you as well, and I know that we've been trying to figure out solutions that we can get done. We really would like to see some of these funds come to our backyard, to our area. And these are federal funds. And for Reno County to invest in this project of matching funds pays off multi-million-dollar returns for such a little investment. And so as you can kind of see here, Reno County in the last 5 years has won about $1.8 million. That was for a SERG that came out and where we had to come and connect cities like Purdy Prairie, Arlington, Abbeville, and some areas that really did not have access to broadband during COVID. And so we've been getting lots and lots of phone calls that says, how come we cannot have fiber where we live? And then there's that map that you showed where there was lots of red dots. We have to try to explain that says, hey, this just doesn't make a business case. We're going to be working with the state. Hopefully we can apply for some of these federal funds. So again, that's kind of a little bit bigger of a scope, and I kind of actually gave you a map this time to kind of show. This specific application, we're going to be looking at over 600 homes. The last time I came, there was about 240 homes, and so we asked for a $25,000 match and a letter of support, and I know that the commission, you all approved of that, but really the ask today is for a letter of support and then a matching funds of the $50,000, assuming that we were able to win this. This is very important for not only Reno County, but the return on investment for home values, it's going to increase, which then helps the tax to be able to charge more for tax. But also the big thing is I always tell people a home without internet is like having a home without a road. And I know that the county supports things like roads, water, sewer, and I know if Chairman Mr. Parks was saying even EMS. Having access to a hard-line fiber connection is very crucial to stay up with today's world, as well as all the many different services that are coming out. And we don't want to leave our neighbors in Reno County behind. And so what my ask of you today is to support any private businesses that come up to you for these types of funds and these applications. One of the pages you'll see that adopt, dock, and another bag is going to be coming out. But the main focus that we really want to emphasize and try to connect Reno County is this BEAD opportunity that's before you. So I kind of leave it up for any questions that you have here for that, and kind of go from there. But again, my ask today would be support again for this application, and as well as a 50,000 matching funds for this, since it triples.
Commissioner Bogner?
Yeah, I'm, what part of the county does this cover? And where are the plans for these 600 connections?
Yes.
I know what it is to have poor internet and how it interferes with business, and it's become more crucial all the time. But if we're going to use county funds, where are they going? What parts of the county?
Yes.
Do several parts of the county? Are we subsidizing a certain area? What are we doing?
We are looking at the county almost as a whole. The last time I talked to you was a very kind of short area. Now when you kind of look at this map here and you kind of see the spider webs on that green connectivity, what we're going to try to do with this application is we're going to expand our fiber from those current green webs to scoop up as many as we can of those red dots that we can in this application. And so when you look at this as a whole, you can kind of see, well, Adams Corner, and you can kind of see kind of north of Cheney Reservoir. You can kind of see south of Crupper's Corner. We're going to be trying to cover as many areas that we potentially can within this. And to be clear, the FCC, they have determined what homes we have to cover. So this is going out, and they say these are the homes we identify that do not have access to a 25 by 5 connection, and that we want to invest money into it. Therefore, we want to see a 100 by 100 connection, which is a fiber connection.
So they're telling, the grant people are telling you what homes you will service with that grant.
Yes, sir. They look at the FCC map on this, and these are the homes that they have determined that lack the accessibility. And so those are the homes that they deem eligible for these BEAD funding.
Well, now you said north of Cheney Reservoir in there. The red dots are actual sites, homes, businesses, I take it.
Yes, sir.
And where are you going to try to feed those off of?
Well, the green that you see kind of connected,
Yeah.
those spider webs off to that. Some
Yeah.
of those homes within that area we're going to have to build down. And so the nice part is well, I say nice part, but it's going to cost millions of dollars of private investment from us and then millions from the state. We're going to do our best to send an application that has the most homes possible that we can cover an application. One thing that really stands out to the state is when you are able to serve more homes at a cheaper cost, you actually have a little bit higher chance to move up within the tier of grading system. So we've realized our cost per premise, we're going to do our best to try to cover as many homes. So to answer your question, it's not just going to be in one little area. It's going to be spread out a little bit. So the area kind of north of the Cheney Lake there, I could tell you, I don't have the full maps. That's like our engineering team, but they will loop that out to make sure cost per premise makes sense. And then eventually as these other grants come out, because there'll be, like I said, adopt, there's bag 5 that's coming out. Hopefully we can able to continue on to keep building some of those areas. So BEAD will not fix it all, but this is a great start for us to look at this Reno County as a whole rather than just a small piece.
So what, 600 connections, and you said 5,500 in the
Yes.
county?
There's 5,500 in the county.
So we're taking a step towards roughly a little over about 12-14% of the problem area would be taken care of with this grant and this particular
helps out with the criteria. The way the state has looked at with these BEAD, or these 600 homes are the ones that are the most hard to get served. When you look at a lot of the 5,500, you can kind of see Hutchinson has, south of Hutchinson has some dots in that, and that probably picks up probably a couple thousand of those with on there.
What's this area here on your map?
Is it kind of with the red, with the big
massive
green?
red, yeah, right.
Yeah, that massive red. That's kind of like your South Hutch area, and your kind of Hutch probably from more of the South Caryville area is a prime example. We're working on ways to build out with private funds with those areas. Those are kind of economically distressed. We've been working with councilmen out there as well to trying to figure out how can we, as a private company, build that quicker. And those are other grants that are opportunity. That 5,500 just represents as a Reno County whole that there is still 5,500 homes that do not have access.
Just quick question, this grant, what match?
The match for this. So I believe, and I wish Carly was here. She was here, but she had to go with that. Typically, sometimes it's 80-20. I know with this bead grant, I think it's about the same thing with that is we have to put in, I don't know if it's 20% or 80%. I wouldn't be able to exactly know that. I know on our end though, typically it's probably be about $1 to $2 million, and the state match hopefully would be about $1 to $2 million as well. So it's almost a 50-50 is typically what I've seen. But I know that we have to put up quite a bit of funds, and your money from the commission that would come off of what the state would give to Idea Tech and would help put us a step tier above for these. And I can tell you a lot of commission meetings that I go to, they have created places what they will do for these broadband grants where it's per dollar per home, things of that nature, because they know that other broadband providers are going to be coming to them. And when Marion County, when they issued us the $15,000 that they offered, they based it off per home. $50 per home is up to that a certain amount is what could be asked. And so we know that not all counties have that, but we want to definitely
I'd be more
work
open
with
to
you
that
guys.
myself personally, because the last time you're asking,
Yeah, and
it was a 50-50 grand, you're asking 25,000. We really didn't need to contribute to that, and it didn't go through, obviously. So it wasn't an advantage for you. That's why I asked this question. What's the biggest advantage for you to gain this grant?
Well, I will tell you that matching support is a requirement now in these funds. That used to be, so it is a requirement to have matching funds. And that application, we weren't able to submit anything unless we had some matching funds of sorts from that. And so the same thing, when you get over 700% oversubscribed in these applications, you have to be able to stand out. And when you have matching funds and you have letters of support, what that does is it bumps you to the next tier, and the grading system on this is 10% of this grading comes from that community support that's here within this packet here. So it will definitely be highly weighted of having funds versus non-funds. And so we want to be able to work with the counties and the community members to get this to really make Reno County stand out.
I get it. The reason I asked about the bigger mass, the bigger mass red areas that you're working on. Because I personally know people in areas that still haven't been touched in town.
Yes.
And they're not in a distressed area.
We're still working. I know
That's why I wanted that question
Yes, sir.
answered.
Yep, no, absolutely. And like I said, that 25,000 from the last time, it was about 240 homes. And the reason why for the bigger jump is we're going to try to hit the 600 homes. So that's kind of why you see.
I've got John here real quick. John, you buzzed in.
I understand a lot of our 5,500 homes don't have fiber, but I know some of these homes on this map, and they've got access to DSL. Do you have any idea how many are just without high-speed internet at all?
Any homes without DSL or any connection. I'm not quite sure on the statistical data of that. I do know that there are homes in the county that can't get any service at all, maybe because they have lots of trees that they don't want to cut, or maybe they can't afford things like what I always say, the Elon Musk satellites that come in and you have to put that up. There are homes that today still do not have an internet connection, or maybe they are on an old analog type line. But these grants funds, because they realize DSL is no longer a way to move, and 5 years from now, the connection that we need today is going to be in the past. It's just going to continue to grow, and they understand that fiber doesn't have these just limited capabilities. Once you get fiber, it's good for the next 100 years.
So these 600 homes, do they have access to DSL, do you know, or?
So these 600 homes are determined by the FCC. They only have connectivity up to 25 by 5. Okay. So therefore, they might not have any internet at all, or they might have a very slow connectivity that they just don't have anything at all.
Yeah, 25 by 5 would mean they don't have DSL.
Yeah. These are the hardest homes to connect, and that's why these homes do not have broadband accessibility, is because for any company, it just makes such a hard decision to do.
So. Commissioner Bogner?
Well, yeah, that is a deficit area. Any kind of communications in that area above Cheney Lake. Cell phones, it was the last. It's even back. Mobile phones wouldn't work in it. It's a problem area for anything like this, and I can see it. You're here asking us. The last time my thought was, well, maybe you were asking the wrong government entity, because it was a little spot that was being helped, and there are other government entities that could have been a lot closer to the situation. But as it turned out, we gave it. So that's a concern to me. If it's going to be spread out in a large area for a lot of people, then we as a county have a better interest than a little bitty spot beside one city. And so to me, that changes the picture. And you are right that sometimes in these areas, when my nieces and nephews built their homes, it wasn't about who you got your internet from. It was who can even provide anything to us. Fortunately for that little green spot there must have been where our stuff is down there, they finally got connectivity, because you didn't get anything from anybody.
Yeah.
And and it's a problem in today's business world, and even a homeowner, or turned out in COVID, getting schooling and working from home was just impossible. Had a niece that always drove to her mother-in-law's place, and they're up here in this part of, clear up here by this red blob up here. So in today's world, like you say, it's a needed deal, and I can see it. It's just, I've got to get through my head that we're not just picking out a little spot. Mm-hmm. It's an overall deal.
We're gonna spread it
before I feel, Reno County is the spot to come for the matching funds. And it kind of appears to me like the homes have been chosen by higher ups.
Yep.
And I know businesses that are returning a heck of a lot of money to this county that are now able to do business when they couldn't. Mm-hmm. And a lot of household businesses. So I can see where I could support it. Where's the money going to come from? What funds? What?
The Economic Development Incentives Fund.
Yeah. Ron Hurst, Mr. Hurst, you got.
I was surprised to see that around Adams Corner, out on West 4th, south of Nickerson, was not connected.
Yeah.
I was really surprised at that, because there's pretty good business out there at Adams Corner that certainly would benefit by that, the co-op. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the areas I believe you said you were targeting.
Yes. Yep. We're really going to take a look at this as a whole, and we're going to do as much as we can to do 600 homes qualify within this, a little over 600, it's like 620. We're going to do our best to try to get all of those that we can, and then hopefully the ones that we still might have some red dots, it makes it a lot easier to be able to build a business case to ones that are close to that rather than being miles away.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking, would
Yes,
you
sir.
include, you plan on including Adams Corner?
Yes,
Right
yes.
there at the facility, co-op?
Yep. And
Yeah,
we do
those
have a
around
fiber run right to Adams Corner, right there, like kind of right off past Agri Center, and you get
Oh,
to
you
over there. But we don't go out into the rural residential area.
Okay, because there are several houses around there.
Yes, this would help us be able to branch and get those, as I call, scooped in.
Yeah, okay. Well, I appreciate the fact that you're looking at that area around Adams Corner with the
Yeah.
houses and the business there.
I felt like the last time I was here, I didn't do very good justice of explaining what that one grant was. I didn't have much of a map. I wanted to come today to kind of give you a little bit of history of Idea Tech and like what we do within the communities once we're there. And we really listen to the communities and try to figure out what that need is. And I could tell you these little dots here represent good, fine people out there in the communities, and we want to be able to serve them. And
Well,
without this, they wouldn't get
Because you
it.
go awful close, so I'm in
North,
favor.
northeast of Hutch, all that up in there between Nickerson, that's a target area too.
Yes, yeah, we're going to be doing our best to get as much
Or
as we can.
northwest, I'm
Yeah, kind of. You kind of see up here.
Northwest, I meant, yeah.
Oh, northwest, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, by the
There's
Bueller.
old cluster dots up in
Yes, there's quite a bit of cluster dots in that area. That
there. Yeah, you'll be in that target area too, so.
it'll be, like I said, this will be $1 million private investment alone from Idea Tech, and it'll probably be a couple million from the state to help get this done. It'll be a large economic investment that'll go into the county, because I always say people forget that fiber is a economic investment into a county. It just kind of goes hidden, and since it's just not we're not building a building or anything, but once you have that fiber in the ground, it really makes things a lot more attractive to live rural.
I've had scores grants for off and on for several years, and the importance of community involvement and cash makes a difference.
All right, Mr. Bogner.
Crazy question.
Yes, sir.
You just brought up, and I'd thought of it. You build a building, you pay taxes on it.
Mhm.
Are there any taxes involved with the kind of infrastructure you're building?
Well, I can tell you that broadband, our general counsel would tell you probably not, because when we do franchise fees, we have like a pass-through tax that
Wow.
kind of goes to them. But broadband through the state right now is such a hot topic that they have exempt some broadband from some of those certain fees. Now, I will say that they say once a home has fiber optic, they say that the percent of the home can go up by 3%. That can help raise some money within taxes because the home values will increase.
Well,
But
I can believe that. I know how my community is being served right now. And anytime an older couple or somebody who hasn't used it moves out, the first thing that happens is that antenna goes up and points to your antenna.
yeah.
And I know where your antenna is.
Yeah, and like I said, this fund here, we're going to do our best to hit as many 600 homes we can. There's 5,500 homes in Reno County. That doesn't cover every single thing, but that does get a great start. And I don't want to come to the commissioners meeting every single time asking for money either. I know that's not great, but letters of support do go well. So I appreciate you guys helping us get within here.
Would it be better to have a chunk, or would it be better to have per home? How do you like to operate that?
Well, we kind of looked at that the last time when you guys pledged the $25,000. It was kind of about $50 to $60 per home, and we know that if we were to do closer to the 600, it's actually less than that. I can tell you that the county commissioners in Marion did $50 per home, and so if we were to 600 home, it would probably be a little bit more on that. But I know that from an investment perspective of how much it's going to cost, we're settled on the 50,000 number. That would really move the needle, is what I've been told. So
Okay. Yeah, Commissioner Weisel.
So what I always look at when we're spending money is it a proper function of government? Because of course every dollar that we get, we take from people. They don't have any choice but to give it to us, if they want to keep their property. And in my opinion, I think I said this before, high-speed internet to homes that don't have access to it, that is a critical infrastructure need. Yeah, if you've got an older couple that's, never used internet, they bought the house knowing it, they weren't going to be served, that's one thing. But, when they sell that property, there's a lot of people that are not going to buy a property, especially younger couples, unless it has high-speed internet. And so the home is going to be less, the area is going to have less appeal. And if we're trying to get people into the county, one great thing is there's a lot of remote work now. So, what they're looking for is a cheap place to live where they can have access to high-speed internet. So I think, some of these county, or some of these smaller towns in the county, I think this would be a really big benefit for them. I've gotten a lot of heat from certain members of our community about the way I voted last time, but I 100% stand behind it. In fact, I was talking to one of them the other day, and he brought up his parents and how they don't have high-speed internet. And I looked at one of his employees who was a younger gal, and I was like, would you buy a home that didn't have high-speed internet? And she's like, no, absolutely not. And so I was like, well, do you think, because what I'd proposed last time was $100 a home. I said that was, because, that's about what the service costs anyway, and you normally give a free month anyway, so when people sign up. And she said, yeah, I think that critical infrastructure, that's definitely critical infrastructure, which is in the bounds of what one of the responsibilities of government, one of the things that government should spend money on. So that being said, I'm in support.
Any further comments?
I did have one question, though. This was added to the agenda at the last minute. Is there a time crunch on this?
So I'm glad you brought that up. This was supposed to open in early June, and it's been kind of pushed back. And so it's going to open in mid-August. I'm trying to get ahead on it. I'm going to have my first child in early September. And so I wanted to get as much as I could, meet with the commissioners, meet with city folks as I could to get this kind of the needle started and early to build our partnerships with who we're going.
And I'll just say this in general, I would prefer that unless there's a time crunch, we don't add these to meetings at the last minute, because I got it on Tuesday and I did not have time to fully look into this. But just in general, with it being critical infrastructure, especially less than $100 a home, I'm in support. But
anything else? Okay. Somebody want to offer a motion? Or whatever?
I would move that we participate with Idea Tech using $50,000 in their grant application process that would come out of economic development funds reserve.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
So motion by Commissioner Hurst, seconded by Commissioner Weitzel. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen? No, he's not here. Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel?
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner?
Yes.
Thank you all very much, and again, thank you all for having me back, and appreciate you. So I will be an update with you all on how this goes. This will open up here pretty soon and then close. Hopefully we'll know before the end of the year, by October or something. So I'll get that exact date, and then I'll relay that over to Randy.
And if you don't get the grant, it's like the other one.
We'll just, yeah. And that's the thing. We just appreciate your support on all of those going forward.
Oh, something that didn't get discussed was gotta be behind here. Should have been thinking. Letter of support.
Yes.
We got on the money and is that possible?
We'll put the letter of support and have Chairman Parks sign it.
Good, because I know that's a non-cost deal.
Yeah.
And it's a local company, and we definitely need to support it for the general public, and the letter of support doesn't cost us any money.
Yeah.
I think I included a letter of support in that motion, and I think the person that seconded it probably heard that too.
I didn't hear it, but if there was another motion, I would have, if it was in there, then I would have seconded it. I will say as government, we love writing strongly worded letters, so that's right up our wheelhouse.
Thank you.
Anything else? We're adjourned. Randy's got to get out of here.
All right. Thank you all.
Don't run. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Don't run off till all of us sign.